And there you have it. You want to go for it? Go for it, Arshad.
You guys. Not my take.
Go, sir.
Come on, Nigel. Go for it. Right, and there you have it, the opening bell.
Longer.
Again and again.
I think we can put some music to the commentary, right? With the gong.
Manglam, it's the party, Manglam. Ring it.
It is the party.
Well, I think we've got markets which have opened, 60 points lower, 60 points lower. And things are looking, I mean, the opening wall will come up on your screen just to give you an indication. But as Sonia was saying, right in the morning at 8 o'clock, this is the team, if you can see it behind us, around us, which basically puts the entire show on it every single day.
And, we have Sridhar also here with us. Sridhar, thank you for joining us. Great time to be in the market.
Of course.
All-time highs. How are you feeling about it?
No, actually, I want to take some perspective. That 25 years, I started in '93. There was no CNBC then, and we used to call up the ring to get the prizes. I mean, these were the dinosaur days. And from there, when CNBC came, it was a big change for people like us because we used to get regular commentary, the ticker. Yeah. I mean, there's been a huge change in how we've been investing, say, 30 years back to when it was post-CNBC. So a big thanks to CNBC for all the effort that you guys have done to bring about corporate governance changes in the market by asking difficult questions to companies. And I think it's a great credit to the entire team of CNBC for what you've done for the markets in general. That's how I would say.
Well, Sridhar, how are you feeling about the markets, though? We are definitely in celebration mode because it's our birthday. And the markets, well, we're on our way to 21,000 odd. What do you think? Are we getting a little bit ahead of ourselves?
No, I think, once the election results were behind us, I mean, it's reasonably clear that now we get one more term. If you ask me, my confidence level of 300 plus for BJP now goes up from, say, earlier 60% to now maybe 80-85%. Yeah. So basically, the market likes continuity in governance because of the reforms that this government has conducted. I think that helps a lot in terms of how the markets will move from here to May and beyond. So I think the party will continue from here on. So I think the market will climb all walls of worries. Yeah. Only big worry is the US inflation and the rates. Otherwise, domestically, we are broadly set for a big rally from here on.
Just one more query. I always say that I'm keeping my SIPs going, but I'll personally as well, I have to tell you that I've been adding some gold as well, in the last 10 days or so. And you have been, a strong advocate that gold will do well over a longer duration as well.
So I've always maintained that the Indian woman is the best fund manager. Beat her returns and show me. And I'm a fund manager myself. I was just looking at the number, 20-year returns, sensex and gold, both at 14.3, 14.4. I'm talking of 20-year returns for gold and for the sensex. They're exactly the same. 1-year returns, also the same, roughly 14-15%. So I always say, Indian women, they're the best fund managers. Beat her returns and show me we do so much work for this 14% return. Watch CNBC, look at balance sheet, analyze, and the Indian lady just buys gold.
I love the watch CNBC.
Is there a bit of South Indian love for gold here as well? No, that's not.
No, I think all women love gold. Yeah. I mean, this is
no, I'm talking about you.
No, I don't buy the physical gold. I buy the digital gold.
And these returns are rupee, gold and rupee terms.
So which is what I always say that it's actually also the currency it's a hedge against the currency.
Yes.
So the currency depreciates about 4-5% a year, and this is the best hedge against the currency. Having said that, I think equity has also given the return, so it is not.
Just one question. A lot of people want to know what from here, because the market has done so much. It's been a big step up in the last 6 or 7 days. Can this continue all the way into the general elections? Will we see a rally like what we saw late 2013 into the general elections in 2014?
I think it's exactly like 13-14, because 13 had taper tantrum, and then you had the election results. And there were a lot of other global worries, but the market continued to, climb all the wall of worries. I think we'll see the same this time again, because FIs are so underinvested in India that we will see a shift from other emerging markets to India, and we'll see this market rally through up to May and beyond, is my view.
10, 15%, 20, like, I mean, what
Honestly,
numbers
I
to it?
don't know.
Broadly, what kind of a rally? A meaningful rally, right?
History suggests more than 10%.
I would say that we should continue with the returns that we've given in the last 20 years, which is like if we can compound 14, 15% over the next 5 years, you're talking of doubling from here in like 4 years then, roughly, you know. So I think that's a great number. You're talking of almost 42,000 nifty.
Yeah.
So by the end of the decade, we'll be close to say 55,000
on the nifty. Wow. Okay.
So,
you know, there was one space that you were really bullish on, which is PSUs, right?
Yes.
It was. I remember having this discussion with you, I think a year and a half ago.
21 February.
Yes, and since then the PSU banks have rallied substantially, and PSUs in general.
Yeah.
Now they've come back once again. Under that umbrella, where do you still see value?
So I think, Sonia, every decade we see a regime. So if you go back to the previous decade, the regime was high growth, high P stocks. And that extended to such an extent that it was just high P, the E disappeared at some point of time. I think the regime has again changed. Something happened post 21 and the market has gravitated towards value to some extent. And fortunately, these value stocks also have started to return earnings now. So if you see the last 3 years, the best performing sector is PSUs, which is giving you a 50% CAGR. And the PSU banks also 50% CAGR. And the next one is like 20% below, if you look at any other sector. So obviously something has changed. And this is what I tell people, that when I look at some of the banks now, even after say 4 times, they've gone up 4 times, they're trading at 5p, 6p. You can still argue that, you know, it can double from here, and still you can justify the value. I mean, I was just reading a report on the ONCs. I mean, if the numbers are right, they're trading at 5p, 6p.
Right.
So I'm not suggesting that you should buy or sell. I'm just saying that we are at an early stage of this because the starting point was so low that even after this spectacular rally, you can easily justify that if I give, you know, 10, 15, 20p for other sectors.
You can give maybe double-digit
You can
Ps.
give double digits. I'm not suggesting that you go and buy any of these.
No.
I mean, every individual takes his own call. We remain bullish on this segment. We think that the regime has changed. One last point. If you look at the top 10 Nifty for this year, there are 5 PSUs in there.
Yes.
And there are 3 auto stocks in there, which you know very well.
But my question was more towards, see, PSUs is a big basket. There are defense PSUs, there are power PSUs, there are banking PSUs. Where do you pick? Where do you pick from?
So, Sonia, that is the skill of the fund manager.
Let me just
right?
add to that.
Sure.
I think there is a the PSC product, right?
Yeah.
So instead of choosing, for viewers who are watching, does it make sense
fund.
to buy a
In fact,
basket?
you go back to the 21 interview I gave, I had suggested that there are 2 PSU mutual funds.
Yes.
So for a retail investor, in my view, that is the best option. There's a SBI mutual fund and there is an Invesco PSU mutual fund. In fact, I was looking at it yesterday. The AUM is only 800 crores.
Wow.
I'm like, after 50% CAGR return, even now people are so skeptical. So that exactly tells me that nobody believes in the story. And I was actually so happy. There's a fund manager who comes on your show, I don't want to name, who is from Singapore, who comes regularly on your show. He recently added 3 PSUs in his portfolio. And for someone who's always said, I'll never buy PSUs, I was happy to see that there's a change. A slow one, but there's a change. I think there's a lot of denial. And I think a lot has changed in the PSUs. I think the governance has changed, the business model has changed. The stress from the government that you have to be profitable has changed, barring a few segments where they have their own issues. But I think this is a basket. I think the entire value basket is worth watching. So I think when regime changes, it is not like others will not perform. The other segments will also perform, but there will be a leader. If you ask me, possibly the leader is PSUs. I could be totally wrong, okay? But looking at the early, indications, when a regime changes, it changes for at least 10 years.
I think that's very useful advice. The mutual fund route, buy a basket instead of trying to pick this or that.
Even what you suggested is also an option. But I'm just saying that it's better to buy a basket rather than, you know, betting on individual stock, because that is a skill that we have. May not be possible for an individual investor to, you know, pick and choose. Because as you said, some of them are trading at 2p, some of them are trading at 50p also in the PSU basket. So it is not a homogeneous set anymore because they have rallied 50% CAGR. I mean, that's a massive number.
So SBI and Invesco are the two mutual
The
funds
two
you spoke
mutual
about.
funds who have, and the
PSU
AUMs are so low. I mean, I'm shocked. I don't even think they are marketing. I mean, it can't be that after 50% CAGR, you have only...
I mean, actually, even when you buy funds nowadays, the challenge is funds are now 30,000 crores, 35,000 crores to find something where AUM is 800 crores. I mean, that's a rarity.
You know, I invested in a children's mutual fund and I thought the AUM is only 1,000 crores. So this has the potential in the next 10 years is going to be big returns. I missed out on this PSU mutual fund, so I'll go ahead.
You didn't see the show I did in 21.
I'm going to do that.
Smart money,
But we have gone on enough about the PSUs. You know, Sridhar, I want to ask you about the backbone of the market, which is the banking names. And the larger banks, they have been big underperformers.
Yes.
Now, do you think the time has come, if you're looking at the banking space, yes, put some money in PSU banks, but some of these large private sector banks that have actually underperformed, is it time for them to come, take strike and maybe perform in line?
100%. So we are very bullish on the private banking space. See, they've had some challenges because of how the interest rates have moved. Deposit costs have continued to go up. Look at RBI's commentary, they have been tightening liquidity. So I think some of the headwinds for the banks are there. But I think some of these private banks have managed these risks many years now. I think they are very well positioned to, you know, move from here. Their profitability will also move from here significantly because credit cost is not going up, even though there are some risks like RBI has been, you know, flagging the risk, and rightly so, which is on the unsecured personal loans. We remain quite bullish. We think that the underperformance that they've had was for the right reason. But from here on, this looks like a segment. And the other thing is when FIs do come back, we are seeing early signs of that. This becomes an easy segment to enter. So I'm quite bullish on that segment.
You know, I'm having a conversation with another fund manager. They said, Nigel, since you like cricket so much, you know, it appears these private sector banks, they got their eye in, now they're seeing the ball, and now they're going to perform from here on because they've got their eye in, you know, after a long time of underperformance.
I would agree with you. So there are different baskets, different ways of reaching your goal, right? If your goal is to get 15%, there are different ways you can buy PSUs, you can buy private sector. I'm not suggesting that the other components in the market will not do well. And when there's a bull market, all components do well. As they say, rising tides, it takes up all the boat. But there'll be some leader, and possibly that's how I'm positioning myself.
Okay, Sridhar, since we're celebrating 25 years, before we wrap up, if you had to give one piece of advice to your 25-year-old self, what would it be?
Which is to have invested early, do a SIP. We didn't have SIP at that time. If I tell my daughter, who was like 22, my son, who was 26, that invest every month from your salary, because the earlier you start, the corpus that you build by the time you are, say, 30, 40 is so huge. And the power of compounding, we just don't realize that it is so huge that if you are going to compound your money at 15% for 10 years, I mean, that's a massive number that it becomes the corpus that you build at the end of, say, 10 years. And that corpus then compounds at another 14% if you stay invested in the market. And I have no reason to believe that what we've done in the past 20 years, we should actually do even better, because I think maybe the next 10, 15 years will be the great years, because as we move from 2,500 per capita to, say, $5,000, typically markets give disproportionate returns. You look at what happened to China, or see Korea or Taiwan, and see what happened to their markets when their per capita moved from $2,500 to $5,000. They all gave outsized returns. So I would want to bet that we will follow the same path. We'll give outsized returns. And so this is the time to stay invested and not worry about the timing of the market.
Time in the market, not timing in the market.
Yes.
Well put, Sridhar. Stay with us.